Hey, True Believers, Englentine here with another Really That Bad. This time it's Wild Dog, the 4-issue miniseries from 1987, written by Max Allan Collins and drawn by Terry Beatty. And dude, I looked up just to find some extra information. Okay, there is none. We do know, of course, Wild Dog's now in the Arrowverse. He's on the Green Arrow show. He's part of that cast. He ended up in Action Comics Weekly after this 4-issue miniseries. He had one special, and most recently was in the Young Animal series, Cave Carson Has a Cybernetic Eye. There you go. Other than that, he's a former Marine. But we're about to find that out in the miniseries anyway. So, alrighty, guys. Here we go. We're going to find out exactly how bad Wild Dog is. Thank you very much for Fragminion to commission this video. And if you want to commission a video, go on over to Ko-Fi. The link is in the description below. Just choose a topic. Choose a topic. Choose whatever you want to have talked about. And I'll get to it as quickly as possible. And, yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun finding out what people are coming up with. Some of them are difficult. Some of them are pretty fun. I'm not a big fan of why, though. YouTube's choking out the channel I Love Comics, so I'm going to be shutting it down, and I'm starting up this one here. It's Old Man Comics. So if you're on YouTube and you look up Old Man Comics Englentine, go on over there, subscribe, and ring that notification bell, so you don't miss anything. Cool things are going to be happening. I don't want you to miss anything. Thank everybody who's already done that. And with all that aside, let's check out the miniseries Wild Dog from 1987. Alrighty, as always, start off with the camera. Let's always start off with a cover. And dude, what is it here? Check out this cover. Check out exactly how bad this cover is. What is the focus? Okay, you got the mask and the eyes covered with Wild Dog. This is Wild Dog. So the face, we're not seeing any intensity or anything. So is it the logo on the shirt? If so, why are you having the hands across it? Okay, are you trying to frame the dog? Is that what's going to happen? It's a clunky and a clumsy cover. I'm sorry, it does not work. Although the colors are good. And the series opens with this narration. These are the cities, 24 communities in 2 states, divided and joined by one river, 500,000 people seeking the American dream in the nation's heartland. Who is Wild Dog? Chapter 1. We interrupt this program. The story actually starts off with 3 filler pages, 4 if you count the splash page at the beginning, as this news reporter goes on about how she can't get to the anchor job because she's doing these fluff pieces about malls and theaters. And the real story is she's talking to this representative for social change. That's all they say, and they say it like 5 times. And she asks him, I'm not familiar with your organization. He says, it's really quite simple, Miss King. The Committee for Social Change believes society has decayed to where the only solution is to level the existing institutions and structures before starting anew, and by way of demonstration, he blows up the building, standing right in front of it. I mean, there is like no way they're surviving this thing if you see their proximity to it. You know, that's just dangerous for yourself. Plus, yeah, guy, not a great way to get people on your side. And he uses the chaos and the smoke to get the news reporter into the theater, which he says, well, we took it over, but we're going to blow this up as well. And I really like in the 4th panel, the guy who's just kind of got his hand on his chin like, okay. Yeah, they blew up that building, okay. And then Don Knotts in the next panel is just kind of pointing, oh my gosh, look at that. That's really weird. But here's something, dude. If you're going to make social change, blowing up a mall and a movie theater, not going to happen. Sorry, guys. Those aren't where you want to hit. Okay, you know what? I'm giving terrorist advice. I don't want to do that. Let's move on. So the reporter, Susan King is her name, and she's like, hey, what's this all about? And the dude's like, oh, dude, be careful what you wish for because, well, now you got a big story. You're a hostage, and we're going to go on live and tell you what we're going to do. That's basically it. And then the terrorist dude says that he's a homegrown terrorist, not tourist, And they just want to break down the old government to put up the new, but they don't say what that new government is. We do, however, see a government agent watching TV, and at the bottom he's like, yeah, they struck, but we don't see who they're talking to. But nothing tops when this Keystone Cops here comes up, and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm so glad that the building blew up with only the janitorial staff in it. Can you believe in 15 minutes we would have had the mayor and all the officials in there? And I'm thinking, yeah, that's bad timing on the terrorist part. Really, you would think they would plan a little bit better. And then we get more cops where he's like, well, we don't want to get the hostage killed. That would look really bad. And the other cops are like, who cares about what it looks like? We need to go in and save that hostage. If you're not, who cares what it would look like if the hostage got killed? We need to go in and save the hostage. That's the gist of what they're talking about. But the guy's saying if the hostage gets killed, this book is burning my brain already. And so we get them going, I don't know which one of you is worse, the naive one or the gung-ho. And I'm like, they said the exact same thing as you did. And then we see the A-Team scene for Wild Dog. He's got his mask, getting his gun ready. We see him driving up in his truck while we see the bad guys like, and we got to get another voice for social change because we're neither right wing or left wing. We're nothing. We're just different. And that's when Wild Dog comes up in his truck, Chuck Norris style, and runs right through the movie theater, obviously not giving a what happens to the news crew. He barrels into terrorists, shoots one getting out of the truck because the guy doesn't know how to aim for the driver's side. And look, I know I've got 4 books to get through here, and I really need to pick up the pace, but I need to read this dialogue off because this was actually written. Who is that lunatic? Another terrorist? I don't think so, Chief, but whoever he is, he's mowing them down like a one-man SWAT team. Well, he's not mine, and I certainly don't approve. Should I move my men in, Chief? Captain Lang asks. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I read that part. Should I move my men in, Chief? Captain Lang asks. Not yet, there's still a hostage in there. We have to appraise this situation. Where the hell is Flint? Anyway, who the freaking hell is Flint? You got the head of SWAT, you got another cop that looks like freaking Jimmy Olsen's younger, less intimidating brother. And then we just see Wild Dog shooting all the terrorists. At this point, it's been compromised. Go in. So the terrorist dude's like, hey, we hear gunfire. See, they don't care about the hostages. They just want us to kill them. And we see Wild Dog just kind of tearing through the whole thing, you know, and it's ridiculous. The art is horrible in this, and the action is kind of worse because there's no real fluidity to it. And, oh my gosh, it's such bad art. It really is. And the terrorist's like, oh, there's the cops. And the news reporter, Susan, she's like, that's not the cops. And we see Wild Dog kind of get down onto the stage where the terrorist guy's like, hey, you take one step. And then Wild Dog just kicks the gun out of his hand, kicks him in the face, and boom, he's done. So Susan and Wild Dog walk outside where we see the actual SWAT team raise their guns to Wild Dog because apparently they're like, okay, we'll do something now that it's been taken care of. Freaking ridiculous. And then in a moment of heroics, Wild Dog takes the news reporter hostage to get away, except every cop on the planet has a clean shot at him and could take him down. As soon as he pointed the gun at the reporter, headshot, done. Oh my God, this really is a bad book. Thank you very much, Frag Minion. This is horrible. And after Wild Dog drives away, then the cops are like, shoot him! Shoot him down like a wild dog. And Wild Dog leaves the reporter on the side of the road, and she's like, dude, you're my ticket out of here. The good thing to say about issue 2's cover is at least we get to see a clear shot of the hero. That being said, the rope tied to nothing, the random guns flying up in the air, and the blow-up doll teenagers behind them, once again, guys, not good. They did not put work into this. And the story starts with a splash page that's basically recapping. It's the reporter recapping the last issue, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say the best thing about this miniseries is the title of this book, Blowed Up Real Good. And for some reason, the second page is just another recap, except for the cop at the bottom's like, hey, we found other explosives that would have leveled a city block. And now Wild Dog is a wanted criminal. But the interview with the cops ends up with the police taking credit for everything and Susan saying, hey, don't you think that Wild Dog, he doesn't name her though, should have gotten some credit? And he's like, oh, he's a criminal, blah, blah, blah. She signs off, and the other news lady's like, she certainly used her name a lot, which if you look, she only used it at the beginning and the end, which is what's usual, so I don't know what's going on with that. They just want to create conflict, I guess. I don't know. Haters. And then Susan's called into her boss's office, who kind of points out to her, hey, you know what? Maybe you should join and co-anchor this stuff and talk to us about Wild Dog. And she's like, hey, I'm going to do more than just fluff pieces. I'm going to find out who he is. And then we see somebody, I guess he's one of the cops, who is telling his kid, Wild Dog's dangerous. Go to school. But then the girl's like, no, Daddy, no. Remember, there's an honor student field trip, and we're going to probably go where I'm suspecting the next terrorists are going to hit. I'm seeing a pattern here. We set up people who are going to a certain building, terrorists strike it, and then we get Wild Dog. I'm just guessing, because the next scene has somebody talking to a guy who's about to die, and he's like, well, at least I get to die for something, and he stole some other dude's identity. Cut to Susan, the news lady, going to a cop who apparently has had some tendencies of violence, and she's like, you're Wild Dog, and is like, screw you, lady. No, I'm not. I'm serious. That's the entire page. So Susan leaves, and in comes this guy named Graham from the ISA, the Internal Security Agency, and he gives exactly the same dialogue to this guy, except for now the cop's like, I'm not the Wild Dog, you're the Wild Dog. And then we get Graham going to a garage and basically having the same story that we've had the last few pages with this guy, Graham, who runs his own auto body shop, except for there's a part where he's like, hey, remember that dude that saves our lives? Yeah, I remember. And we see Susan is following him around now. Graham, that is. Then we cut to a junior high school where that terrorist stole an identity earlier. The identity was of a guy named Dr. Mensa. And he's meeting a principal named Ernst. Yeah, nobody pulled any muscles coming up with these names. And come to find that this Dr. Mensa is a philosophy student who interrupts classes for a philosophy major to talk to a freaking entire school. Anyway, he's like, hey, I'm a human bomb, and before this day is over, I'm going to be blowed up and dead, but you could survive if you just listen to my message. Once again, not a good way to get your message across. Anyway, the cop that had been questioned for being Wild Dog, he's outside of it, and he goes, I'll take care of it. And he goes, what you gonna do? I'm going to school. I kid you not, that's the dialogue. And so he meets up with Dr. Mensa, and the doctor's like, hey, I see you're a cop, but it don't matter. You're gonna get blowed up with me while I'm in here. Take him away, but don't kill him for some reason. So Dr. quote Mensa unquote starts talking about his agenda. He's like, we need to tear this system down. What are we going to replace it with, you ask? We don't know. First things first, which basically is your every Antifa member these days. And then we see Wild Dog is breaking into the school from the back. And then Dr. Not-So-Mensa says, all right, that's my message. Now only half of you are going to live. I lied. And my teacher's assistants, the guys with the guns, are going to lead you out. And we see that Wild Dog is instead decided to go up to the roof so he could drop in from the ceiling. And Wild Dog cuts a piece of the glass out and he goes, shatoosh, and shoots a dart in Dr. Mensa's neck. And then he blows another dart through one guy's chest, swings down, starts kicking. And it occurs to me, I realize why this art just doesn't sit well with me. It looks like an OSHA sign. Like if you've ever had if you ever worked in anywhere that had safety concerns, there's always a sign on the wall. It's like, hey, if you want to save this guy from choking, you do this and do that. I never really read it. I don't know. But anyway, the art on that sign is the art in this book. It's like the how to use the vomit bag on an airline. That art is this art in the book. It took me a while to figure out where I saw it from, but I'm telling you, the OSHA signs and the vomit bags have the same art as Wild Dog. And the weird thing is the cops let him go. They're like, hey, we're looking for him. But now that they have him, they don't catch him. And so he's at a farmhouse, and he makes a fake call to Dr. Mintz's friends. And when they all arrive, Dr. Mintz is like, no, get out. And Wild Dog just blows them all up. And that's the end of the second issue. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to start assuming that all the covers are crap. This one's actually the best one so far, by the way. I do like this one, though. A little better than the others. Okay, so we're going to burn through issue number 3 here. I'm running late on this video anyway, but this is dumb. So the Graham guy gets together with all the people we've met so far, all the cops and such, and he gives them the Wild Dog outfit. We see Susan's in the background listening to him. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is the Wild Dog outfit. Why are you doing this? Why are you handing this? Is kind of silly. And he's like, well, because one of you guys is Wild Dog, and I don't expect you to fess up. I just wanted you guys to give me some sort of reaction, and I want to let you know that I need to talk to Wild Dog personally, because we want to work with him. And they're like, say what? The feds are working with a vigilante? That's not right. And then he says, well, he's the only one that's been able to do something against this terrorist group that's popped up. And so they walk along into a military weapons testing facility. And Graham catches Susan. He's like, stay away. Don't uncover them, and then you could get famous too. And then they all go out to a testing ground where they're testing a new weapon. The military, I mean, by the looks of it. And then they describe a stupid, it fills the room with gas and then blows up that gas. How about just blowing up on detonation like all other bazookas? And then we see some tourists go up to some army guards and shoot them in the face. And then they set up mortars to fire on the testing ground. And then we see Graham and the cop, and they're like, hey, I wish I had a gun. All righty, I'll go over here. I'll go to the Dixie Belle. I'll help this guy. I'll help that guy. And we do get to the Dixie Belle, the ship, and we hear a guy, hey, it's all secure. It's ours. And we see Wild Dog, and he starts firing on all the other boats, but he runs out of bullets, and they all chase him into the museum, the armory museum that they were just in. And, of course, he pulls up a gun and just straight up murders all the terrorists. So Wild Dog runs out of the museum, and Susan's like, hey, you didn't murder those two. So Wild Dog just goes, blip, okay, they're murdered. Oh, wait, there's somebody getting away on a ship. Let me fire that bazooka thing. Kaboom! And they're murdered too. End of issue 3. Okay, so the covers got better as they went. All right, this is my favorite color. I like the cover. I like the shading over the whole outfit and everything. It does show a white guy, so at least that leaves 2 of the suspect cops. There you go. Anyway, not a terrible cover this time around. Okay, so much like the last issue, this issue begins with a prolonged recapping. Yeah, it takes a few pages just to go through all of it and just say, hey, this is what happened. I can't believe it. And it's usually, that Susan girl. But then once the book settles in, what it becomes is the cops, and they're talking about, well, who do you think is the Wild Dog? I don't know. I thought it was you. I think it's you. It's you. You. And that's basically the back and forth. And then they go, wait a second. It's not us. You remember that one panel where you were talking to a guy in a garage? It's him. Oh, my Lord in heaven. So this was a commission from Fragminion, who wanted me to see if it was really that bad. And usually I go through the last book and then I'll say whether I thought it was that bad. This book sucks. This miniseries sucks. The art sucks. The writing is horrendous. The pacing is off. We're getting the Punisher origin here, where his wife gets killed by criminals. So he goes on a murder spree for criminals. They're even at a park! It's just, it's absolutely god-awful. So the cop faces their mechanic friend. What was Jamie, or something like that? Hold on, racers. Okay. And, oh, wait, I'm not there yet. Yeah, we got to get him. He actually finds the people who murdered his girl, so he goes and he kills everybody who did. And then the cop goes up and talks to him, and he's like, I know it's you, Johnny, or whatever his name was. And the guy immediately says, well, I could use a cop partner. What do you say? And the cop goes, yes. And then the book, the whole series ends just like that. That's it. No ramifications, nothing. That is all. Now, I've never read this story before. I just always thought Wild Dog kind of looked sort of silly. You know, the only Wild Dog I've ever been invested in is the one on the Arrow TV show. So, reading this, my Lord in heaven, how did this get popular at all? Honestly, it's a horrible character. There's no personality to anybody, much less the protagonist, the Wild Dog himself. No personality whatsoever at all. It's just, what a boring and bad book. The art is just the most simple Mad Magazine fold-in sort of style. Just, God, awful stuff. The writing is not there. Now, you could say this is like a 1980s action film, but it's like straight-to-video style 1980s action film. It's not even like Rambo or anything. This isn't a basement Punisher. It's like a sub-basement sinkhole, devoured everything around it kind of Punisher. If you haven't gotten the gist, it's really bad. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to click like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you haven't done that already. Make sure your notifications are on. And if you want to support the channel, go on over to Patreon or to Ko-Fi, and you could even commission your own video. All you got to do is go on over. Once again, links in the description below. Pick a topic, pick a subject, and I'll get to it as soon as possible. And wow. Now, I had fun reading this, tell you the truth. It's just, holy Toledo, it's really bad, and I probably would have burned through all 4 issues had I known it was going to end up as bad as it was. Anyway, I'd like to thank Frag Menu one more time for commissioning this one, and everybody who's commissioned anything, and thank you very, very much for watching.